Hey there, it's Danielle Burnock from DanielleBurnock.com, that lady on the internet who loves you, connecting you to the love that heals so you can love yourself from survive to thrive. I want to ask you a couple of questions. Have you ever been miserable in your life? And if the answer to that is yes, one that goes right with that, when you have felt miserable, did you ever feel grateful at the same time? I highly doubt it. Because I was reminded by someone who I look up to quite a bit, Joyce Meyer. She's a part of my story if you haven't heard already. I was reminded by a letter I got from her the other day that she noticed that someone can't be miserable and grateful at the same time. And I paused. She said, I noticed this. Have you noticed this? So I'm putting it to you. Have you noticed this? Can you be miserable and grateful at the same time? I don't think so. I don't think you can be that. You can't be miserable and grateful at the same time. So what do we do with that? What this sparked in me was a remembrance of part of my journey. In my book, Emerging with Wings, got that right there, 2 places in it, because I was looking up where in the book was this, where I started to look for things that were good in my life. I talk about it early in the book, in the first chapter, and I share about how I was astounded by finding good when I thought there had not been good, and how it looked like stars. It was light and it looked like stars. All of a sudden I had all this light in my life that I didn't know that I had. But really what sparked me to do that, look for those positive things, was a question that my daughter had asked me, which is in the chapter Puzzle Pieces. I was very negative. I was miserable. I was a miserable person because I was wounded inside. All that childhood trauma made me feel miserable. I was writhing internally. As I put in my book, I was inwardly convulsing. Well, when you're that miserable, you're not grateful for anything. I was not grateful for much. I was grateful for some things, but I was more miserable than I was grateful. And then my daughter said to me, I don't remember how old she was or I was, because I did grow along the way. I wasn't steeped in all that misery because I was fighting to get out of that misery for a long time. But I noticed by this letter that I got from Joyce and looking at my story, that gratitude was really a part of my journey before I even knew it was a part of my journey. My daughter asked me one time, she said, didn't anything good ever happen to you? Bam! Man, I felt like I got punched in the face with the truth, slapped upside the head. Oh my goodness, this is what I'm projecting to people, that I'm just so negative that they're like, doesn't anything good ever happen to you? I'm like, oh God, help me. So I started looking for good, which I write about in the beginning of Emerging with Wings, about how I had done that. And I found little things here and there and here and there. And I started being more grateful. I started looking to be more grateful. I started focusing on looking for the light. And that's the message I want to bring to you today. Where is your focus? Think about when you take a picture just with your phone. If you don't focus it well, your picture doesn't come back well. There's one setting on the iPhone called Portrait. And if you use that portrait setting, it actually blurs the whole background and makes the foreground nice and sharp and clear and just beautiful. So if we will focus like that portrait mode on the camera, if we will focus like that on good things, on positive things, on things we're thankful for, things we're grateful for, things we're happy about, anything that's good. You know, the Bible says in Philippians about thinking on things that are good report and praiseworthy and virtuous and all that stuff. So the Bible will support this a lot. You could do a search there looking up all different scriptures about thankful. There's lots of those too. But just looking for the good changed my life. Just starting to look for the good with intention, focusing on it like a camera. And I have another exercise, which I've talked about before. I have that back here behind me also, my good things jar. And I write something good every morning and put it in that jar. And at the end of the year, I take it out and I read them all. I've forgotten about most of them by the time it's the end of the year. But what it does for me is it focuses my day on something positive. And I want to encourage you to do that. Whether you do a jar or a journal or you just sit for a minute and think about it, you don't have to write it down. However it fits into your life. And if you do it at the beginning of the day, it sets you on the track for the rest of your day. Now, you could do it at the end of the day. Do it however you want. You do you. I support that. I support you being you. But I love you enough to encourage you to look for the good in your life. And if you're feeling miserable, especially if you're in the middle of a real misery bout and you just feel like the whole world is falling apart, if you could just pause and think about what is one thing that is good right now? What is one thing that is good? Something that you can genuinely latch onto with your heart and say, this is a good thing. It's summer outside. The sun is shining. I'm breathing. I'm healthy today. Someone said hi to me on the road. I like my shirt I'm wearing. Whatever it could be. It doesn't have to be anything big and huge or anything. But as you accumulate them more and more, you become a more positive person. You become a more grateful person in general. And that misery, it starts to fall off. I mean, we're human. We'll have moments. I have days. We all have days. And it's okay if you have a day. You know, validate your feelings, but move through that. Don't pitch a tent there to live there forever. If you have to pause, pause. But then move on. As my daughter calls it, bathroom flooring it. You know, sit down and cry for a while. There's a song, old song by Twyla Paris about the warrior as a child, and she talks about dropping my hands and crying for just a while. I do in my workshops about children who are learning how to walk. Sometimes they get so frustrated, they sit on the floor and they cry. But you've never seen a child sit on the floor going, this walking stuff is too hard, I'm not doing it. No. After they're done having a good cry, they get up and they try again. So get up and try again. Get up and try again. If you are steeped in misery, look for one thing good and just practice it every day, little by little. It's not magical, not erasing your troubles, not invalidating the stuff going on in your life. But where are you focused? Where are you focused? Are you focused on the pain, or are you focused on the light to lead you out of it? Because light will lead you out of the darkness. So till next time, mwah, I love you.